Hi guys, look who's back. It's the little wooden bird in my table. Hello little birdie, it's nice to see you again. I love this table. I'm going to use the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot for this reading. This is a really full-on deck. The cards are just super dramatic. There's lots of movement. I don't know if you can see, but there's gold lame on each card, so they're super shiny as well. It's based on the original Rider-Waite deck, but as you can see, they've really modernized it, updated it, and really it's full of action, this deck. So if you like drama, if you like beautiful faces and lots of movements and sense of urgency here in your cards, this is the deck for you. Let's see what the cards have to say about this day, in particular Friday the 20th of November, and what energy you'll be working with on the day. So let me choose my 3 cards here. First card we've got the 9 of Swords, the Knight of Swords, and the 4 of Cups. Well, that's interesting. Let's see what this means. Okay, the 9 of Wands, pretty self-evident, it's worry. It's lying in bed, waking up at 3 in the morning and saying, oh, what am I going to do? I have to go to this job or this relationship, or I have certain obligations which I have to fulfill, which are overwhelming, and I cannot. It's too much. It's just too worrying. So the suit of swords represents thoughts, ideas, and the 9 of swords is negative thoughts and ideas really piling up and starting to really have an effect on the person thinking all of those things. And it just gets to a point where enough is enough, and you have to kind of simplify and say, you know what, first of all, is everything as bad as I'm thinking it is? And if you look at anything in your life at 3 in the morning, it's going to look a lot worse than if you look at that same thing at 9 in the morning or at 3 in the afternoon. It just seems so dark and hopeless when you're just lying alone in your bed, completely isolated. Also, it's not just about whether these things are or aren't worrying, but it's having the compassion for yourself to say, hey, do you know what, if this is real or not, it's really weighing on my shoulders, and it's causing me anxiety and grief. I'm going to simplify. I'm going to focus on the things that I can do. I'm not going to try and fix all of my life problems in one day. I'm going to focus on one thing that I can take care of. And then if I have extra time, I will take on the next thing. Okay? So you're not meant to be holding your head in your hands, despairing. You're this little flower, okay? You're growing. You have the potential to succeed and thrive. You deserve to be happy. You don't just have to fulfill your obligations and everything that's piling onto you. You have a right to do something that feels meaningful and purposeful in your life. And this is not a state of productivity. The more burdened and bogged down you are, the longer it's going to take you to complete one little task. So if you're weakened by your own worries keeping you up all night, it's going to take you an hour to do a simple task that under usual circumstances would take you 10 minutes, because you're in a good headspace and you're able to think clearly and you're able to make decisions. So first of all, give yourself a break and say, okay, I might have some anxiety today. I may not understand everything that's going on, and I may be overwhelmed by all of that. Despite these worries, I'm going to take action, and I'm going to face the music. I'm going to tackle this thing which is causing me anxiety or fear or a sense of insurmountable obstacles which are super, super challenging. Regardless of the outcome and certainty, am I going to fail? Am I going to succeed? That's not my problem. What I'm going to focus on is actually tackling these things. The Knight of Swords is a court card. He's very extreme, and sometimes you need extreme responses to extreme situations. So you may feel like you've got a lot on your plate, and the Knight of Swords is actually able to get those things off your plate quicker than the Knight of Pentacles would be able to. You can see this horse really, really rushed and almost panicked. The knight kind of lying on top of it, kind of in an aerodynamic pose. The red wings and the red cape flying in the breeze, covered in armor. So he is certain that his ideas and his way of doing things may not be universally applauded. He may not be universally loved and popular, but he cares about his ideas and his decisions, and he's put the armor on because he expects conflict. And just because he's a knight on this horse and he looks brave and hard, he is just as worried about getting his head chopped off as anyone else would be on the back of a horse riding into battle. So the cards are very butch today in their meaning. It's saying that the courage and the strength that you've got isn't in taking action without fear. It's taking action despite your fear and anxiety. And you're able to stand up to your own fears and to say, hey, stop annoying me in the middle of the night. It's now daytime. I'm going to handle this one by one. Get in line. I'm not going to let myself be overwhelmed, and I'm not going to sit back and let this crush me. Instead, I'm going to wipe these away. I'm going to seize one. I'm going to fight fire with fire, or in this case, air with air. And I'm going to weaponize one of my own ideas. And I'm going to say, I have the choice whether I'm going to deal with this and resolve it, or deal with it and not resolve it, or let it beat me into submission, make me feel worried. I choose to act quickly to take care of the things that are problematic, but I'm going to do one after the other. So focus on one or two things that you can actually address. If you do have fears and anxieties, you're going to find that you don't procrastinate on those fears and anxieties. And delaying things and procrastination, Louise Hay ages ago said that that is a form of self-harm, and that really stuck with me, because a lot of times we put things off because we think, oh, okay, we'll do those later, or I don't have time, or I'm just too worried. I'll deal with this when I'm in a better situation. But the cards are saying that that isn't, well, first of all, that isn't the way you're going to handle it today, but also putting things off doesn't resolve the anxieties, it just makes them worse. Because if you put something off that needs looking at and you leave it for 2 weeks, it's really likely that that situation is going to be more problematic than if you face it in the here and now, because you don't know what else is going to transpire, and at least you can face what you've got on this day. So rather than self-harming and worrying yourself by putting things off and saying, okay, tomorrow, when I feel a little bit more confident, you find that confidence today. You act extremely, which you need to overcome extreme obstacles and this extreme sense of I can't, and you replace it with I can. So if you find yourself really chomping at the bit to take action today, don't stop yourself. This is a blessing that you're really able to chop away all the debris and the obstacles that are blocking your path, and you're able to really progress and move forward, and you're able to attack your own fears and worries. Now, finally, we've got the Four of Cups, and this seems very incongruous with these two cards, which are air, communication, ideas, thinking, worrying, making decisions. Cups has to do with your feelings and the intuition and spirituality in the universe. So here we've got this young man sitting under a tree, kind of looking down at the ground, and he doesn't look particularly happy. The hands are kind of wringing. He's also worried, and he's got these three things in life which represent real positive, loving aspects of his everyday experience. So the fact, let's say, that his family loves him, that he has a sense of connection with his higher self, and rather than just rushing off to do things based on other people's misinformation, he checks in with himself and he does what's right for him. And here we could say the fact that he feels that he's grateful that he has good health and he can rely on his own strength. So all these good things are in his life, but they don't make him happy. So he's not grateful for the good things that he's got. What he's focusing on is what hurts. So the hands aren't just wringing. It could also look like he's hurt his wrist and he's kind of holding it to in an attempt to soothe it. So rather than to be grateful for the good stuff, he's focusing on the negative. What he's missing by focusing on the negative is that the universe is giving him an opportunity for even more wonderful blessings, loving experiences and loving parts of life to come into his everyday experience, but because he isn't paying attention and because he's so focused on the bad stuff, he's missing this opportunity. And that kind of qualifies the first card. You have a choice about this worry and this concern, and that kind of gets my back up a bit. It's kind of making me say, hang on, Greg, do we have a choice over our anxieties and our fears? That's a tough one, because some people, I mean, I think we all have fears and anxieties, but I've met a lot of people who have these happy-go-lucky, sunny temperaments, and it seems like nothing ever bothers them. Even those people will have things that they're worried about. And then other people who are really in fabulous situations and don't have anything to be upset about really struggle with crippling anxiety and fear, and it makes no sense. So I understand that it's not a choice, but what the cards are saying is that you can really determine how anxious and worried and overwhelmed you feel by either focusing on gratitude and saying, these are all the good things I have in my life. So my wrist hurts, but my family loves me. That focus on the good is going to mitigate the negative, and it also frees you up to see other good opportunities that are out there. And the Knight of Wands gives you the drive and the energy and the decisiveness to actually pursue those wonderful things instantly. So rather than worrying, which really doesn't help you, I think worrying makes sense. I mean, when we worry about things, it's often like an insurance policy. If I play the tape forward and I worry about the situation, then if it actually does happen, I'll be prepared on some level and I'll know how to deal with it. The problem is, or the good thing is, that 99% of the things we worry about never actually happen. So you can't, it's a wasted energy, it's a wasted effort to kind of play things forward because you don't know how they're going to turn out. So you can save yourself that, and you can also then change the focus around rather than trying to solve problems that haven't even happened yet and are never going to happen. You're able to take the hands off the face. You're able to look at the goal that you're wanting to pursue, and you're able to receive something beautiful and loving in your life that really makes things easier, and that mitigates the anxiety and the fear, and it gives you a sense of being supported and loved. And with that love, you then have the intellectual clarity to act and to be super decisive, but you also have the emotional support you need to get on the horse and to put on your armor and to ride off into your adventure. So there's a little bit of control here, and the ball's in your court. You can either experience difficult things at a 2 out of 10 intensity level by being grateful, or at a 9 or 10 out of 10 if you think that only you can solve your problems and you're all alone and everyone else is against you. I know which one I'm going to choose. I'm going to look at, what am I grateful for? What supports me in life? What makes me feel healed and whole? And what other wonderful things am I missing? What am I not seeing? Where am I being short-sighted? And that realization and that change in perspective then opens the door for you to really, really pursue something that you love and that you want quickly and to get it. The Knight graduates to become the King, and the King rules the element of air and swords, the suit of swords, which is about decision making and seeing things clearly. So you can trust your own ideas and thoughts. Just make sure they're not they're not filled with fear and anxiety, but instead you fill your thoughts with spiritual principles of love, self-acceptance, and gratitude. And that's the way forward, and that's the way to win, and that's the way to graduate from being a knight to being the king. 9 and 1 is 10, and 4 is 14. 1 and 4 is 5, and 5 is freedom in numerology. So by sorting out your attitude and managing your own anxieties and fears, you're really able to free yourself in some sort of concrete, factual way, but make sure that you allow the emotional support to come in, because it's not just facts, it's also feelings. And facts and feelings together fuel you to gallop off into this amazing future and to to get what you want and to achieve the goals that you set for yourself without fear, without procrastination, and you actually just do it. And that can set you free. So it can put you in a situation where you're thinking differently, where you're seeing things differently, and where you then take actions which have different consequences and which change your actual circumstances. So it's really important this day. Also, if you're communicating, if you're thinking about things, don't analyze everything and don't talk about every subject. Keep it simple and down to one or two things and focus on those and communicate about the one thing or analyze the one thing. And let your feelings support you and keep it very simple. Have an amazing day. If you would like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. Click on the book your readings button on the front page to order your reading with me. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe and share the video online. Have an amazing day and I'll speak to you tomorrow.